I surveyed 43 mechanics across 5 European countries: Germany, UK, France, Poland, Romania. One question: what car do you personally drive? Not a single BMW, not one Audi, not one Mercedes. Zero. What are they buying? That's exactly what this video is about, and if you're about to drop $30,000 on a new car, you need to watch this first. Here's the problem with every best car list you've seen online. Journalists drive press cars for a week. They experience the fresh leather, the ambient lighting, the panoramic roof. What they never experience is the same car at 90,000 km when the timing chain starts rattling. They never see the customer's face when the bill comes back at $2,800 for a dead infotainment screen. Mechanics see that every single day. So I went directly to workshops in Germany, the UK, France, Poland, and Romania. I asked one question: what do you drive and why did you choose it? What came back wasn't a list of exciting cars. It was a masterclass in understanding what actually breaks and what doesn't. 7 cars kept appearing across every country, not because they're impressive on a test drive, because they're the opposite of impressive repair bills. These are the cars that mechanics trust enough to spend their own money on. Number 7 is the car that makes mechanics smirk and then quietly admit they own one. The Suzuki Swift, specifically the 1.2 dual jet-based petrol. It starts at $18,500, which feels almost too cheap to take seriously. Until you hear what Klaus, a workshop owner in Hamburg, told me. He pulled up 3 years of ownership records for his Swift. Total repair spend outside of standard consumables, €0. His words: my customers pay more for one Golf repair than I've spent keeping this car running for 3 years. That's not an exaggeration. The numbers back it up. The 1.2 engine is naturally aspirated, no turbocharger to detonate at 80,000 km. It uses port injection, which means none of the intake valve carbon fouling that plagues direct injection engines. The timing chain is engineered to last the life of the car, not to become a $1,200 job at 100,000 km. In German TÜV inspection data, the Swift consistently appears among the cleanest performers in its age category. The most common failure: worn brake pads, around 80 at an independent garage. A mechanic in Warsaw showed me his 2017 Swift, 340,000 km. Original engine, original gearbox, service history, oil changes, filters, brakes. 8 years, nothing else. The interior is hard plastic. The infotainment is basic. The driving experience is perfectly adequate. But mechanics aren't buying excitement. They're buying weekends free from their own workshops. The Swift delivers exactly that. Running costs sit at roughly 4.8L per 100 km. Insurance is among the cheapest for any new car in Europe. Parts cost a fraction of European equivalents because Suzuki shares components globally. It's everything modern car marketing ignores. That's precisely why professionals keep choosing it. Number 6 proves you can have a modern, well-equipped car without modern failure rates. The Mazda CX-30. But here's the detail that matters. The 2.0-litre naturally aspirated Skyactiv G only. Not the turbo, not the diesel. The base petrol that reviewers call underpowered is the exact one mechanics are putting their own money behind. A Mazda specialist in Munich who has worked on these engines for 8 years told me something that stopped me cold. The naturally aspirated Skyactiv is the closest thing to 1990s Toyota reliability we have in a modern showroom. I have never replaced an engine. I've never even seen meaningful internal wear. ADAC's 2024 Reliability Index shows Mazda's naturally aspirated petrol models sitting 47% below the segment average for major drivetrain faults. Not slightly better, nearly half the problem rate of comparable vehicles. That's not a marginal edge. That's a fundamentally different ownership experience. No turbocharger to fail. Port injection instead of direct injection, so no carbon buildup on intake valves. No cylinder deactivation causing oil consumption problems at 60,000 km. A Bristol workshop owner put it simply: I work on BMWs and Audis all day. Timing chains, turbos, DSG boxes failing constantly. The Mazdas that come in, oil and tires. That's it for most of them. The interior is refreshingly analog. Physical climate controls, real audio buttons. A rotary dial that works in winter gloves. Mazda understood that reliable controls matter more than a glossy touchscreen that locks up in the cold. Starting at $28,900, it's not cheap. But factor in the 7-year warranty available across European markets, average annual maintenance around $580, and resale values holding at 68% after 3 years versus roughly 45% for equivalent Volkswagen crossovers, and the real cost of ownership tells a very different story. Number 5 dominates mechanic car parks across every country I visited. The Toyota Corolla Hybrid, not the Estate, not the GR Sport. The basic hybrid sedan that automotive media dismisses as characterless is the car that experienced professionals choose when their own money is on the table. A Berlin mechanic with 30 years in the industry didn't hesitate. I've worked on every brand sold in Europe. Nothing touches Toyota hybrid reliability. This system is 27 years old now. 27 years of engineering the same technology while every competitor is still improvising. Owner data backs this up. In reliability surveys and roadside assistance callouts, Corolla-class Toyotas consistently appear at the top. Complex premium alternatives cluster at the bottom, especially as mileage accumulates. Here's what mechanics understand that most buyers don't. The Corolla hybrid eliminates every component responsible for the biggest repair bills in modern cars. No turbocharger. Port injection, not direct injection. No conventional starter motor degrading from stop-start cycles. No dual-clutch gearbox. No diesel particulate filter. No AdBlue system. Every part that generates 2,000 plus surprise invoices at competitors simply doesn't exist in this car. The eCVT has no clutch plates to wear. The electric motors are brushless, meaning near zero degradation across the vehicle's lifetime. A Hamburg taxi driver showed me his 2019 Corolla hybrid. 380,000 cube, oil changes and tires. He said, the car just refuses to break down. Toyota's hybrid battery coverage can be extended via annual health checks depending on your market, in some cases up to 15 years. Even without a warranty program, battery replacement comes in around $1,800. That's less than a single DSG service at a Volkswagen dealership. Real-world fuel consumption of 3.9 L per 100 kilometers means annual fuel costs under $1,200 for average European mileage. Starting at 31 to 500s, it costs more up front. But one mechanic I spoke to made the calculation simple. Work out the 10-year total. Fuel, repairs, depreciation. The Corolla comes out cheaper than cars that cost half as much at the showroom. I've done the numbers. That's why I drive one. Number 4 is for mechanics who actually enjoy driving but won't pay the price for complexity. The Honda Civic. Specifically the 1.5 VTEC turbo with the manual gearbox. Why manual specifically? A workshop owner in Rotterdam explained it like this. Honda's CVT is reliable, but if anything goes wrong, it's $3,200. A manual clutch? $340. For someone who understands what failures cost, that's not even a debate. The 1.5 VTEC had documented fuel dilution issues in cold climates during early production. Honda addressed it with hardware and software updates from 2020 onwards. Post-2020 models show virtually no significant faults in TUV inspections. The turbo is conventional. Single scroll, standard wastegate, nothing exotic that fails in exotic ways. What mechanics specifically appreciate is what Honda didn't do. Climate control uses physical knobs. Audio has real buttons. The infotainment works reliably because Honda didn't try to reinvent the interface. A Frankfurt mechanic told me he bought the Civic for one reason. I can adjust the temperature without taking my eyes off the road. That should be the minimum standard. Somehow most brands can't manage it anymore. The cabin space embarrasses cars costing twice as much. Rear passengers fit without folding their legs. The 478-litre boot handles luggage seriously. Visibility is excellent because Honda apparently still designs cars for people who need to see where they're going. ADAC breakdown data places Honda consistently in the top 5 most reliable brands across all segments. Mechanics choosing the Civic aren't guessing. They're reading the same data they watch play out in their workshops every week. Starting at $32,500 with the manual gearbox. Number 3 is the one European car that made this list, but with a specific condition that cannot be ignored. The Skoda Octavia, 1.5 TSI engine, manual gearbox, pre-2024 facelift models only. A Prague mechanic who has worked on Octavias for 15 years was direct. The 2020 to 2023 with the 1.5 manual is the sweet spot. Simple engine, simple gearbox, physical buttons everywhere. Everything that came after went backwards. The 1.5 TSI with manual avoids VW Group's worst failure points. No DSG transmission disasters. No 1.2 TSI timing chain failures. No 2.0 TSI intake valve carbon deposits requiring $800 cleaning every 30,000 km. The 1.5 is the calibrated option. Adequate power, manageable complexity, acceptable reliability. But the production year isn't just a preference, it's the entire purchase decision. Inspection data comparing Octavia variants to equivalent Golf models from the same periods shows Škoda's Mladá Boleslav factory maintaining tighter quality control than other VW Group facilities. Same platform, same engines, different manufacturing discipline, fewer defects reaching customers. The pre-facelift matters for 3 reasons. Physical climate controls you can operate by touch. Pre-facelift cars can be diagnosed with generic OBD tools any independent garage owns. Post-2024 facelifts went full touchscreen for critical functions and now require Volkswagen's proprietary diagnostics, adding cost to every visit. As one Munich mechanic summarized, the accountants won, the engineers lost. Practicality remains class-leading. 640 litres of boot space, rear legroom that beats executive saloons, For mechanics transporting tools and parts, it's a rational choice. Finding pre-2024 stock takes effort now. Some Škoda dealers still hold 2023 registered unsold units, and those are becoming genuinely hard to replace. Starting prices for remaining stock sit around $28,000. Annual servicing averages $520, but used demand stays strong because buyers increasingly understand what's been discontinued. Number 2 will surprise you. It surprised me too, until I understood the reasoning. The Mazda MX-5. 2.0-litre naturally aspirated engine, manual gearbox. Yes, a two-seat sports car made a reliability list. Because Mazda built a sports car that actually holds together, a specialist mechanic in Stuttgart who works on Porsches, BMWs, and Audis every day made the case. The sports car owners I dread seeing, all the premium brands, the MX-5 owners, oil changes and brake pads, a sports car that's more reliable than a Golf. Think about what that tells you. The 2.0 engine is deliberately understressed, 184 horsepower in a car weighing 1,060 kg. The engine never works near its limits, never builds thermal stress, never develops the problems that plague turbocharged rivals running undersized engines at full stretch. The result is mechanical longevity that defies the sports car category. The manual gearbox is regarded as one of the finest produced anywhere. Precise, durable, satisfying. Clutch replacement, around 380. The same job on a BMW's A4 runs 1/800. Owner records show MX-5s reaching 300,000 kilometers on standard maintenance. The previous generation from 2005 still tops reliability surveys 2 decades after launch. Mazda didn't chase complexity, they refined simplicity, while every competitor added turbochargers, hybrid systems, and electronics for their own sake. The soft top on base models is manually operated, no motors to seize, no sensors to fail. It opens in 5 seconds and will operate identically in 15 years. The powered roof on higher trims is unnecessary complication that mechanics deliberately avoid. Practicality is minimal. 2 seats, limited luggage space. But that limitation is honesty. The MX-5 doesn't pretend to be something it isn't. For mechanics wanting a weekend car that will never need a weekend in their own workshop, this is the answer, starting at $35,900. Resale values are the strongest of any sports car under $50,000. Aftermarket parts support is vast, insurance is reasonable because enthusiast owners drive with more care, and the number 1 car that mechanics across Europe buy more than any other, the Toyota Yaris Cross Hybrid. Not exciting, not premium, not particularly bold to look at, just the most dependable vehicle you can walk into a showroom and purchase new in Europe right now. When I asked why the Yaris Cross specifically, rather than the Corolla or the standard Yaris, the answer was consistent: real-world practicality for European conditions. The raised ride height prevents the underbody damage that regularly hits lower cars on speed bumps, urban curbs, winter roads, and poorly maintained surfaces. That extra ground clearance eliminates an entire category of expensive repairs before they happen. The drivetrain is Toyota's proven 1.5-litre 3-cylinder hybrid, the same fundamental system that powers taxis across Europe with 500,000 kilometers on the clock. No turbocharger, no diesel complexity, no dual-clutch gearbox. Just electric motors, a bulletproof eCVT, and a naturally aspirated engine running the Atkinson cycle at low stress. Across reliability indices, roadside assistance data, and owner surveys, Toyota's mainstream hybrid models consistently avoid the high-cost failures that dominate workshop revenue elsewhere. While competitors return repeatedly, Toyota owners, in the words of one mechanic, forget their dealer's phone number. The interior makes no concessions to trend. Physical buttons for everything that matters, a touchscreen that doesn't control critical functions, no subscription features, no over-the-air updates that quietly break things that were working. You buy it once and own it completely. In 2026, that's almost a radical concept. Toyota's battery coverage, extendable via annual health checks depending on your market, provides unusually long protection. Even outside any program, battery replacement costs roughly $4,800, less than one major service at a premium brand dealer. Early Toyota hybrids are demonstrating 15+ years of battery life in real-world use. Failure is not a realistic concern. Starting at $30,800 for a small SUV, that's significant, but every mechanic I interviewed ran the same calculation. Fuel at 3 AL per 100 kilo. Near zero repair costs, depreciation of just 28% after 3 years compared to 45-55% for comparable rivals. A workshop owner in Copenhagen said it best: the Yaris Cross won't impress anyone at a dinner party. It won't turn heads at traffic lights. What it will do is work flawlessly every single day for the next 20 years. For people who spend their working lives fixing cars that don't, that's worth more than anything on a spec sheet. 7 cars out of hundreds available across Europe. 7 that pass the only test that actually matters, the judgment of people who see every failure up close and still choose these with their own money. Notice what's missing from the list: BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Volkswagen's current generation, Peugeot, Renault. Brands spending hundreds of millions on marketing can't earn the trust of the people who fix them for a living. The pattern across all 7 cars is identical: naturally aspirated or proven hybrid powertrains, manual gearboxes or simple automatics, physical controls, global parts availability, engineering built around long-term durability rather than showroom theatre. If you've ever suspected that modern car complexity exists to generate dealer revenue rather than owner value, 43 professionals just confirmed your suspicion. Share this with anyone buying a car in 2026. Subscribe if you want more analysis that puts owner interests above marketing budgets. And drop in the comments which of these 7 surprises you most. I'll see you in the next one.